Hello and welcome back for our second episode in a series of 3. We are talking to our lead coach here at Sibme, Kelley Garris, and this is a 3-part series. Like I said, we talked a lot about your A2 rise, and we're going to come back to that. We really want to talk today about the idea of awakening awareness and coaching identity. And so welcome back. We know that at Sibme, in this episode, we're talking about coaching teachers specifically. Our team and you also work with coaches to help support teachers as well. So we kind of have that dual role of coaching teachers, but also, which is what this episode is about, but also coaching coaches who are coaching teachers. So welcome back, Kelley.
Thank you so much for having me again.
You're welcome. So let's talk about identity. Identity is a big word. And so what does that mean, a coaching identity? What does that mean to you?
It kind of goes back to, I'll tell a little quick story. We do, as Kim said, we do develop work with coaches and instructional leaders. And as we work through that process, I kept trying to find the word to describe a lot of things. So I brought it to Allison, our executive director, and I said, it's an identity. It's an identity. And she kept going, what does that mean? And we laughed because that night she watched football, NFL, and they said about a football team, they said that team hasn't really identified its identity yet, or something along those lines. And it finally hit her that it's your beliefs, it's your values, it's your approaches to how you speak to people, it's how you present yourself, it's your coaching philosophy and the principles that guide your interactions. It's just big and out there, but it's something that we really need to examine big time and really figure out who are we. We talk too about who are we? And then you think about this idea of situational coaching. Who are we? Does this stay the same?
Yeah.
But the situations change. How do these pieces work in tandem or not? And I think as a coach, that's what we are exploring every day is who are we? What are our beliefs and our values and our philosophy, along with, oh my gosh, we're getting all of these new experiences and these new individuals. And how do we reconcile all this, or can we at all? But I even think just the thought of exploring that and at least thinking about it propels us forward in that habit of reflection that we talked about in the other episode.
Yeah. I don't know if Corey is sick of me telling this story, but my identity has changed quite a bit in the past 15 years as a coach. I didn't have one when I first started, which was pretty problematic, but also maybe not surprising, that as a new coach, you didn't have one. So the first position that I took was very challenging in the sense that I was being asked to coach in ways that I wasn't comfortable with. And I quickly learned maybe not what my identity was, but certainly what I wanted it not to be. And so it was almost this idea of like, you're not creating change, and teachers aren't changing unless they are so emotional they're crying at the end of the coaching conversation. And it was devastating to do. It was hard to be a part of. And I went on an apology tour after I left that position and realized this is not for me. But it's happened since then before. Again, I was smart enough at that point to say, whoa, this is not how I operate. I'm going to go ahead and remove myself from the situation. But it happens where for me, it was like I had to learn what I wanted not to do before I could realize what my identity was and what I believed in strongly. So there's that part of it too.
No, I love that you made that connection.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of whenever Kelley was talking about coaching identity. I was thinking exactly of that example that you've shared before, Kim, is, you can really feel it when it's not quite jiving with what not just what you're comfortable with. Like there's some things I'm not comfortable with that are really great for me and others, but they're like, when it's just like, it's a bad, like not a great feeling. And like you said, it's terrible to be a part of. That is then a sign that this doesn't align with my identity. And we ended the last episode, Kelley, with you talking about this idea of situational coaching, which I think the ideas of coaching identity and situational coaching are two of my favorite pieces of the A2 Rise model and our Coach the Coach programs that we have or cycles that we have, because I think they are so valuable. I always struggled with, I have 1,000,010 coaching books. There's not that many out there in the world, but I've got just about all of them. And I found pieces of things that I think fit my identity as a coach really well, or were things that I thought might fit and I wanted to try them out. But I always struggled with following whatever the author had shared, like to a T.
Yeah.
Or even within the schools and organizations that I've coached with, sometimes following a specific structure felt a little bit more restrictive. And I do feel like I really excel in situational coaching, being able to kind of read the space and read the room. It's hard to do. It's skills you have to really refine. But I think that the fact that the coaching team is working with other coaches in identifying the situation and then taking that and considering their own coaching identity, and then what's going to be best, what's most productive, what's best for the individuals that are a part of that is powerful. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about maybe like to Kim's example, when it doesn't quite fit or when we aren't quite aware yet of our identity. Maybe that's it, is we aren't aware of it.
So we also in the Coach the Coach model that we use, we do something called conversational awareness. And it's really starting to think about how do you want to come across to individuals. So we examine through an essential question about coaching identity. We keep this large question there the entire cycle, but then we jump into this conversational awareness and we provide some materials, some videos and some materials to explore that. And we ask people to say, what are you doing well? And, sometimes people say, I'm a good listener. What does that look like? What does good listening look like to you? Really? What does that really mean for you? And we explore what that is. What do you do well? And then we obviously say, well, how do you want to stretch? And we hear a lot of people say, I don't want to be a fixer. And that's a really great space to think through, right? I don't want to be a fixer in here, and I don't want to be a fixer with my words. I want to motivate and uplift these individuals to find solutions to the problems that they find. And I want to be a guide on the side. I don't want to swoop in and fix. And so we really explore, for many of them that choose that, we explore really what that means through the use of video. We have them record their videos with the coachees, with the teacher volunteers in this instance. And we ask them to evaluate their conversational awareness checklist, and dig deeper about, who they are. And that power of video comes into play, right? Because they go, oh my gosh, I never knew I said that so much. And I never knew I'm on my computer a lot. And I look like I'm looking at the computer and I'm not really looking at them. And so there's all these epiphanies that come with the checklist coupled with Sibme's outstanding resources, such as is video. And that connection here makes for some really powerful, eye-opening conversations about, again, developing that identity.
I love that. And I think if we can connect it, last episode, we talked a little bit about your A2 route, kind of where this fits. Obviously, you talked about last time how this fits very early in meeting a coach or a teacher as well. So talk about that a little bit and digging in a little bit to what does awakening awareness mean?
So in terms of the coach first, because we call it A2 Rise for a reason, because that A2 really is, it's alliterative with awakening awareness, but also it really means awakening awareness of the two parties in this cycle, awakening awareness of the coach and awakening awareness of the teacher. In terms of the coach, we feel that this awareness is a part of your identity. Again, exploring the idea that we need to connect with who we are as a coach. I think, and again, that sounds simple, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And really making sure that when we go through these cycles, that we are present in our identity. And at the same time, we're challenging our identity, because every time we get a new situation, I at least feel that we're challenged.
Mhm.
And that challenge allows us to grow more. So I think, just like to your point, Kim, finding out what didn't work for you really did challenge you and encourage you to really kind of think about this philosophy and almost this reinvention.
Yep.
And I think that that's really powerful. So if we need to do that heavy lift, that deep work within, we also need to make sure that it's our responsibility to make sure that we help awaken awareness in that educator, if that's who we're working with, is building that. What brings you passion? What is your philosophy of teaching? And really being in tune to that and understanding that their identity may not match our former teaching identity or something we heard, but that is who they are, and they love that and they're passionate about that. So we have to put in that situational coaching to be there for that person, to help them build success within themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such an important part to the entire cycle, is starting with that. And I think that that's not typically, usually it's like, all right, so what goal do you want to accomplish? Usually it's like just starting with that. And it's incredibly important to awaken awareness first.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and what I love about the idea of, like you said, the continuous improvement cycle, it's not just what's something you need right now, or that we can work on right now, or something you've been told you should be doing, and let me help you do that. But going down to that deeper piece, that their calling. What is your calling? What is your passion? What is your purpose here? Because then that lays a great foundation for the continuous part of the improvement cycle. The idea that I might choose something here, identify a goal that's aligned to that awareness, aligned maybe to my identity or the situation that I'm in, and then after I've mastered that or made progress and moved from there, there are other things I can continue. There are other mountains I can conquer, following this cycle. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next episode, we are going to talk a little bit more about the strategies, and that kind of not the end of the cycle, but the end of, where you stop, take a look at things, and then reevaluate. Because like we said last episode, you could coach someone for an entire year and just continue to grow. So we thank you very much for watching this episode. We will be back next week, next Monday, for our final episode in this series of 3. Be sure to follow us on all your social media channels. I'm at Dr. Kim Coaching, and Corey is at Corey Camp Coaching. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.